it's Stephanie here and welcome back to another video. Today we are going to be creating 3 different rainbow cards and we're going to feature the Straight-Up Rainbow Die-namics. I've had this die for a while and have not even played with it yet, if you can believe it. So I wanted to get it out and create some rainbow designs that would work really nicely for birthday cards. One of my favorite things about this die is that you're able to cut out all 7 colors of the rainbow at once, and if you cut them from one color of cardstock, you end up with 7 strips of each color, so you can quickly and easily create 7 different card designs just by die cutting this once from each color. I'm only going to create 3 in today's video, but you can go off the designs that we create today and do even more designs with all of the leftover pieces. So I went ahead and die cut all of our pieces off camera before I started filming, and I also die cut the pieces that we're going to use to create the card. I love having white and gray together, so I decided to use Grout Gray as the panel that we're going to layer everything on top of, and then we're going to layer this panel onto a white card base. The main reason I chose the gray color as the panel is because I'm also going to use the cloud that comes with this die set, and I wanted it to really show up against that gray background. For the first rainbow, I'm going to be creating a vertical design, so I've started off with the purple strip, and I've just lined that up against the right-hand side of the card, and I made sure to leave a little bit of a space beside it so that we have enough room to add our cloud on the bottom. And I did want to mention that the panels that I'm adding these to are all cut to 4 inches by 5 1/4. That way when I add them to the white card base, I'll have a little bit of a border around each of the gray panels. So I'm just going to continue adding each of these. I'm using liquid glue to do this, which I find quick and easy. You could also add all of the strips to a text piece of paper, just a really thin piece of paper, and then trim around it if you want to have all of the rainbow pieces already adhered before adding them to the panel. Moving on to the second card design, I decided to do the strips for this one in a diagonal formation, and I decided to bring them in from the left-hand side of the card. As I added each strip, I just kind of kept putting that cloud in place to make sure I was going to fully be able to cover the strips with the cloud, and decided to go with 6 of the colors versus 7, just because I didn't think I was going to be able to fully cover the bottom, so I did eliminate the red strip on that middle card. For the last card, I'm doing all of the strips in a horizontal formation, and I'm letting them go completely across the panel. You can do this if you want, or you could have them stop short so that you could have the cloud kind of end where the rainbow ends. So now that I have all of the strips on here, we're going to go ahead and trim them up, get them ready, and then we can go ahead and start to work on the clouds, since the clouds have separate die pieces that you can use to add little faces to them. And as I trim up each of these panels, I'm just putting the clouds on to make sure that everything is going to work out how I want it. And once I was happy with each of the designs, I'm going to go ahead now and, like I said, put all the little faces onto our clouds. When you purchase this die set, the face part is actually tabbed inside of the cloud, but you can easily remove it with wire snips. And I love that because it gives you 3 different ways that you can use the face and the cloud. You can either leave it in and do die cut inlay and let the holes actually cut and then put the cardstock pieces in. You can do as I'm doing right now, which is just to cut the faces separate and just add them on top of the cloud, or you can use the cloud on their own without a face. Sometimes you're creating a card design that doesn't necessarily go with this cutesy look, so I love that you have the option of kind of switching it up and deciding how you want to do it. Another great thing about adding the dies directly on top of the cloud is that you can kind of move the different pieces to give each of the faces a different look. So you can see I put the first face together on screen and used some liquid glue in my tweezers, and then for the second 2, I kind of changed them slightly. One of them, I put the eyes a little bit closer together, and then in that middle one, I kind of put the mouth on a curve just to kind of make it look like he was smirking. So I love that you can kind of customize these for whatever kind of look you're going for. So now that I have the clouds put together, I'm going to adhere each of them to the designs. For these here, I wanted to add them on with foam adhesive, so I am adding that to the back of the cloud first before adhering it on. And then I'll just line it up at the bottom of each of the rainbows. For the rainbows that are going straight across, I'm going to put that cloud kind of up near the top and have it kind of overlap the first 4 strips in the rainbow. And then I'm going to use the sentiment strip to overlap on the bottom area. So I'm sure if you're familiar with my videos, you knew that this step was coming eventually. I'm going to stamp out my sentiments onto some black licorice cardstock. I love having a black sentiment strip with white embossed sentiments on top of any type of card that has a lot of color. I just love the contrast that doing this provides, and it's just one of my favorite looks, so I definitely wanted to do it on these cards. I chose 3 sentiments from the Bitty Birthday Wishes stamp set, and I'm using the Skinny Strips Die-namics, and I'm going to die cut all 3 of them. So I'm just positioning them on top of the embossed sentiments. I'm using some tape to hold them in place so that they don't shift in my die cutting machine. And then I went ahead and die cut all 3 of them. To add them to the card, I'm going to use the same foam adhesive that I used for the clouds so that they have the same amount of dimension, and I'm going to layer each one onto the card designs. For this first one, I cut the end of the sentiment strip off to give it a straight edge and then kind of overlapped it slightly on that rainbow. For this third one here, I layered it on top of the horizontal strips like I mentioned before. And for the middle one, I just kind of went over top of the diagonal strips, which you'll see here in just a minute when that card comes on screen. So now to put the cards together, I'm just using some foam adhesive on the back of each of the panels, and I'm going to layer them on top of a white card base. The card base is A2 in size, which measures 5.5 by 4 1/4, so each of these card designs is going to have a little bit of a white border all the way around the edge. So now we have the white detail on the card base as well as the cloud. We have that light gray color as the background, and then we have that bold color in each of the rainbows with the black sentiment strip on top. I really love the bright bold colors, and I love those sentiment strips paired with them. To finish off the cards, I decided to give them a little bit of detail, so I'm adding a little bit of highlights to some of the strips of the rainbow with a white gel pen. I also added some dot detail to the cheeks on the clouds. And then I finished each of the cards with some clear sequins and some stardust stickles in the center. And that is going to complete our 3 cards. So I hope today's video gave you some ideas on ways that you can use the Straight Up Rainbow to die cut multiple pieces at once and then create different card designs by simply changing how you add the strips of rainbow to your card front. If you enjoyed today's video, I would love it if you would give it a thumbs up and make sure to subscribe to the MFT YouTube channel so you don't miss any videos. As always, I appreciate you being here for another video, and I hope to see you again soon. Thanks so much for watching.